All right, this is my presentation for my textual analysis. The book I am doing it on is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. The purpose of this book is to promote empathy, inclusion, and understanding of physical differences. I think this book is really important for students to read in school because it does promote diversity in schools and kind of along the lines of accepting that there is people who are different and that's okay, but that we also need to teach kids about that because or students because some people might not understand that, but it's something that needs to be read and talked about so that students do get an understanding of it. I chose this book because first off, it's a book I always think about when I'm in any class and it's brought up about diversity. It's the first thing that comes to mind. I actually play this movie a lot for some kids I have at a daycare I work at. They love it. And I think it just really gives kids or students an open mind about how we can accept others or maybe what's going on in their heads, about their disabilities or diversities and kind of being able to maneuver around that. Um, I fell in love with this story the first time I read it and the movie, um, which I think it would be important if this book's read in schools that they also play the movies so people can get visuals and kind of understand it in a visual way for people who maybe are more visual learners than reading that then they can connect with one or the other maybe a little better. It'll benefit students by learning about this. I mean, I feel like diversity and especially people who have maybe disabilities isn't talked as much about in school, and I think it needs to be. It needs to be something that teachers promote more and we talk about more with our general education classes. So our general ed students get knowledgeable and understanding about disabilities or students who may need a little more help or may look a little different. Some summary and key points. The main themes is, like I said, about the purpose, empathy, kindness, inclusion, bullying, and identity. All of those are portrayed and talked about in the book. The plot is Augie, who is, if you look in the picture in the left, is the little guy in the astronaut helmet. He's a boy who has a facial condition. He was homeschooled until fifth grade came around, and his parents finally let him go to public schools. And it's kind of just about how he navigates for his first time in a school. Um, some insight is inclusion requires empathy and systemic support. So in the picture on the left, it's his dad, Augie's dad. Augie's in the middle with the helmet, like I said. Mom's on the right, and then his sister Olivia's in the back. He wore the helmet. I'll give a little background with that. He wore the helmet to try to hide his facial features because he got bullied a lot for them. And then finally, towards the end of the book, more he reveals it and takes it off and has to take it off in school, gets bullied for it. So that's a little background to his helmet, astronaut helmet. The diversity of this book, and this is Augie without his helmet on, so that's the facial condition he has. But the diversity of this book is Augie has facial features, which is a diversity aspect from his classmates, as his other classmates don't have any facial features like that. I think of this, or I think that it should be running classes because it should help students understand that some people do have different features, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be included or wanted or cared about. I mean, a simple diversity is somebody having, like me, black hair and then someone else having blonde hair. I mean, it's a difference, but it's more portrayed that, oh, all because you have a normal face or you have this color hair, like you're supposed to be this way. And that's not how we should be teaching kids in school. It's that, like Augie, he might have some facial features, but he's still smart, he's still athletic, he still does his thing in school, and all because something's went wrong with his face during birth and he has some marks on him, it shouldn't mean that he gets treated any different. Um, and then there'll always be students in school with some sort of disability. I mean, I would be very surprised if you ever went to school and didn't have somebody in the school who has a disability. So it would help with general education students and students with disabilities learning about different diversities. Um, the equity of this book is students teaching that no matter the disability or difference, that all students should be accepted and that we are all different. But that doesn't mean that we can't tailor things so that we're all included. And then this book talks about bullying and how Augie gets bullied for being different and not everyone treats him nicely, which this book would also help a lot with an anti-bullying method, and we could dig deeper into the bullying aspect in schools and have that be talked about. And then inclusion in this book. It teaches students that we should be including everyone as much as we can in class, and everyone is worth something. And then showing no matter what, everyone deserves inclusion, no matter the color of your skin, the color of your hair, if you're in a wheelchair, if you can walk, if you have a speech impediment, anything, we all deserve to be included in something in school, no matter what. Alrighty, the DEI standard: bias, discrimination, and prejudice. Okay. The example is Augie is bullied due to his appearance at school. The message is stereotypes and prejudice harms everyone, and classroom takeaway includes anti-bullying discussion and physical difference. Like I talked about with bullying, we could talk about how bullying affects others. The standard of contributions and lifestyles. The insight is highlight strength and social contributions of children with disabilities. And then the strategy: students reflect journals on life experiences and challenges. You could have students do journals about things that go on in their life or help them write down things that may be bugging them. And you can see in this picture, it's all different types of people building something to become something greater. Cultural and community diversity, characters from diverse backgrounds and personalities. And then the activity is identity charts or I am poems for students. I have two pictures. I would include it kind of by these I am. Students can fill in the blanks, and then a diversity craft, saying your name, then I am unique because, and what's unique about you. The community and cultural norms. Norms challenge our definitions of normal and acceptance. Those two words are challenged a lot in life. There's no such thing as normal, I don't think. And acceptance should come no matter what in life. I mean, you'll never have people who will always accept, but I think that in some way or form, people should be able to do that. Activity. I did the choosing kindness and belonging, kind of showing students, some things you can say that's kind to other people. And then the indigenous culture and concepts. It's not really addressed in the book specifically, but you could relate to it by exploring identities and belongings, kind of like that day is. And classroom applications: read aloud and empathy-based discussions, kindness campaigns and posters, inclusive literature circles, collaboration, identity projects. These are all things that could easily get put into play in class with this book. And then the conclusion is Wonder Models, inclusive values for students and educators, encourages diverse classroom libraries and empathy-centered teaching, should be read in every classroom, and the movie should also be watched at. All right, thanks for watching. I went over that.